Qwen just dropped Qwen3.6-27B, and the interesting part is not just another benchmark chart. It is the shape of the model, a dense 27 billion parameter open-weight model aimed directly at coding agents and real builder workflows. If you run local models, build SaaS automations, or use coding agents every day, this is one of those releases where the practical question matters more than the hype. Could this actually fit into your stack? Here is the official claim. Alibaba describes Qwen3.6-27B as a dense, open-weight, multimodal model that keeps both thinking and non-thinking modes. The release is focused on agentic coding, and Qwen says this 27B dense model surpasses its previous open-source flagship, Qwen3.5-397B-17B, across major coding benchmarks. That is a big claim, so we are going to treat it carefully. The Hugging Face model card gives the builder version of the story. The model is Apache 2.0. It is listed as image text-to-text, and the overview calls it a causal language model with a vision encoder. The card lists 27 billion language model parameters, native context length of 262,144 tokens, and an extensible context target above 1 million tokens. It also names the serving paths builders care about: transformers, VLLM, SGLang, and K-transformers. The dense part is important. Mixture of experts models can be efficient during inference, but they still bring routing complexity, larger total weight footprints, and more operational questions. The comparison Qwen highlights is against Qwen3.5-397B-17B, a 397B total parameter MO with 17B active parameters. Simon Willison also noted a practical repo size contrast. The older model page is about 807 GB, while Qwen3.6-27B is about 55.6 GB. That does not mean it runs on anything. It does mean the deployment conversation gets much more realistic. On the coding side, the source reported numbers are strong. Qwen reports Qwen3.6-27B at 77.2 on SWBench verified, 53.5 on SWBench Pro, 59.3 on Terminal Bench 2.0, and 48.2 on Skills Bench Average 5. In those same rows, Qwen shows the 27B dense model edging out or materially beating the prior 397B-17B open-source flagship. For agent builders, those are exactly the benchmark families worth watching: bug fixing, terminal work, repository tasks, and tool-heavy coding. But this is where we slow down. These are Alibaba and Qwen reported results, with specific harnesses and caveats. The release notes mention internal agent scaffolds, refine benchmark tasks, timeouts, context settings, and repeated runs depending on the benchmark. That is not a reason to ignore the numbers. It is a reason not to turn them into a blanket claim that the model beats every closed model, or that it will outperform your current stack on day one. The useful practical context comes from Simon Willison's hands-on local test. He tried the 16.8 GB Unsloth Q4_K_M GGUF quantized version with Llama server. His examples were SVG generation prompts, not coding agent benchmarks, and he reported generation around 25 tokens per second in that setup. The takeaway is modest but important. There is already a quantized path that builders can try locally, and it is good enough to start testing workflows instead of just reading leaderboards. Why does that matter for coding agents? Because agents are loops. They read files, call tools, patch code, run tests, inspect errors, and try again. If every loop is expensive, slow, or sending proprietary code to a hosted endpoint you do not control, adoption gets harder. A capable open-weight model gives you more control over privacy, latency, prompt templates, tool call behavior, and cost predictability. That is especially relevant for SaaS founders and automation engineers who want repeatable workflows, not demo magic. The decision matrix is simple. If you care about agent loops, test tool use and patch quality. If you care about local deployment, test the GGUF and your target context length. If you care about long context repo navigation, do not just paste a tiny file. Point it at a real multi-folder code base. If you care about multimodal work, test screenshots, documents, and UI images. And if you care about production, compare it against your current baseline with the same tasks. My practical testing plan would be 5 steps. First, give it a known bug in a real repo and see if it can make a minimal patch. Second, ask it to navigate a larger code base and explain where a change belongs. Third, run tool-call loops through your actual agent framework. Fourth, try a local GGUF run at the context length and latency you can tolerate. Fifth, track success rate, tokens, cost, and human cleanup against the model you already use. Bottom line, Qwen3.6-27B is worth attention because it combines open weights, a dense 27B footprint, long context support, multimodal capability, and a coding agent focus. The official benchmark story is promising, but the real value will show up in independent evals and in your own repo tasks. Do not ship it because a chart looks good. Test it because the size and license make testing practical. If you want more practical open model and coding agent breakdowns, subscribe to Fluid Coding and AI. And if you test Qwen3.6-27B, leave a comment with your hardware, quantization, agent framework, and the task that actually mattered. The leaderboard is the beginning. The eval loop is the product.